Well, so here I'm with Elena. This is my wife's friend. It's the person who I picked up in Medica. And she's going to share with us her experience and tell us what exactly happened since Thursday, the 24th of February.
Yes, thank you. So it was really awful morning, and we woke up because we heard some explosion, and we also saw some bright lights somewhere at the horizon, and we understood that the war actually had started, and that was awful feeling. Immediately, I booked some tickets for the train, and the closest date it was for Monday. And we were really scared until Monday. We just lived in horror, and it was really awful because the explosions, they became just stronger, bigger, more powerful, and closer to our house. And even we saw military men, we saw our enemy near our windows. We could hear them shooting, and it was big stress for me, for my son, who's 8 years old. And I just understood that I couldn't live like this anymore, because that's not life. Always hiding in shelter, maybe somewhere near your house, or I don't know. So we decided to leave as soon as we could. And
So from Kharkiv to Lviv then?
To leave. Yeah, the
Yes.
tickets I took, they were to leave. And the thing is that it was more and more difficult to get to the railway station because nobody wanted to pick us and bring there because everybody was afraid of bombing. And
And is it true that some people got shot while they were driving? I mean,
Yes.
that's the Russians shot people who were driving their car.
At that time, they didn't do it deliberately. These were just random bombs which
Okay.
fell. I'm not sure about now. Now we have some cases when they just shoot cars, shoot people who want to escape, and even trains. We've heard recently that they started shooting trains, which evacuate people, so they know what actually they're doing. Yes, and we go to the railway station, and it took us a really long time to get to the train because there were a lot of people, and finally we got there. And first we were told that the train follows to Kiev, and we were desperate because we didn't need to go to Kiev. But then when we decided still to sit, because I didn't want to come back there, just go somewhere. And when we sat there, it just miracle happened, and they announced that it was going to Lviv, just exactly where we wanted to.
Oh, perfect. And when
Yes.
did you arrive in Lviv?
To Lviv, we arrived on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, okay. So you had to wait from Tuesday till Saturday when I picked you up?
Till we crossed the border.
Yeah, because you first stayed a couple of days
Yeah,
in Lviv.
yeah.
So you stayed from Tuesday to Friday in Lviv, and then
Yes.
you crossed the border on Saturday
Yes.
when I picked you up.
Yes,
Okay, right?
yes. Because this time I spent being really nervous because in Lviv it wasn't as calm as I had hoped. Still people were getting ready for the war, a lot of people, a lot of military guys, and you can feel this atmosphere of waiting for something bad. And sirens, of course, at night. So, this feeling when siren, and you understand that something inevitable might happen, that bomb might fall to your house, to your family, is just awful. And I just tried to check my friends if there were any opportunities for me and my family to go abroad. And luckily, Natasha responded first, and she said, yes, sure, you can come to us, you can come to France, just as soon as you cross the border. And then I wrote to my mom, and she was still in Kharkiv, and it took her a really long time to get out of there. She traveled by car.
So she moved on Thursday, right? Or on Wednesday? I
I'm
don't
not
don't
sure.
remember.
I'm
It
not
was
sure
either on
the
Wednesday.
exact
Yeah,
Maybe Wednesday.
maybe
because-
Wednesday, yes.
Yes.
And she departed by car, right?
Yes. Yeah, and it was really, again, we were really nervous, being nervous all the time, that's really tiring.
Yeah, because it was more dangerous, and
Sure.
she also came much later than the others who took the train.
Yes.
I mean, she arrived only on Sunday morning at the border in Budomierz.
Yeah.
In Budomierz, yeah, and she told me that she had to wait a long time in the queue,
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours. First, the car dropped her next to the border after having driven just 60 kilometers within 6 hours, and then she had to stand in the queue for 4 hours until she could cross the border,
Yeah,
which is pretty long.
between Ukrainian and Polish side. To wait. Yes, but this happened after this, but because in Lviv we also were waiting, and then finally we crossed the border with my son together, and we decided to wait for my mom there in Poland, because it was for me really difficult to wait, because what if bomb starts falling to Lviv? What?
Yeah, of
what
course.
will happen then? A lot of people will go, and what about us?
Yeah, and people were probably very afraid because they
Sure.
knew that almost all those who wanted to escape
Yes.
were relocated in Lviv, at least temporarily. So
Yes.
this was very dangerous, in fact.
Yes, you're right. That's why we left. It was now I can see more or less easy escape. Yes, for us, luckily, we stayed at the shelter camp. People were really kind to us. All the Polish people, they treated us really well. Gave us food, gave us like everything actually, even clothes. Yeah, like soap, food, clothes, everything is there. A lot of help from Europe. So we felt like that we can rely on our friends. Maybe the atmosphere still is a bit intense because there are a lot of people, and with dogs, with cats, with really small children.
Yeah, and
Yes.
in some gym, it was not automatically at a hotel that you were relocated. I mean, you
Sure.
had to spend 1 or 2 nights in a gym, and they just put some mattress on the floor or something like that, apparently.
Yeah, it's like maybe a simple bed or even a mattress, but you can stay there only for 2 days. Then you need to leave. Yes, you're right. So we were waiting for Laurent there, and spent only one night, but still it was difficult to get to sleep because of the number of people. Yes, and then finally Laurent came. He brought some humanitarian help, and then we.
Well, so that's me.
Yes.
We can say it. Yeah.
I think your subscribers know that it's you.
Yeah, well, let's continue.
Yes, and then we returned the next day to pick my mom, and we waited for a really long time because, as you mentioned, she got stuck, and we again became really desperate.
Yes, this was endless. In fact, she called us at 8 in the morning. She thought she was on the verge of crossing the border within 10 minutes.
Yes.
And finally, she crossed it at 2 in the afternoon.
Yes. So they also drove. There were some queues even between cars. So it's really difficult to choose how to walk or to drive. Yeah. So my mom chose to walk, and took a lot of time.
Okay, and apparently you still have family there. Your father decided not to move. Your husband is still there. And apparently your brother even called today to say that the windows of your apartment got blown or something like that.
Yes. Today we received a horrible message because actually they just, as we say, clean our city, because that's what they do. They just throw bombs, and they don't look where. And with the remains of this bomb, the front of our house was really badly damaged, and the windows, yes, they were blown out.
And your house is probably not next to a military area, right? So not at all. So they do it on purpose.
Sure, they just destroy everything. That's their idea, and they don't.
And they don't care about civilians.
They don't care about people, nobody, and a lot of cruel things happen. So they even shoot people, and everybody is afraid to leave the shelter just to take some water, for example. And people are leaving, they are fleeing, and I don't know who and how and what will happen to all of my friends. I'm even afraid to ask, because like I received a message yesterday from my friend, and she wrote to me, okay, Elena, are you alive? So that was the question, like the most popular question now, are you alive? Because in Kharkiv now, it's the main task is to survive.
Wow, that's horrible. Well, let's make a small break. Okay, and now what are your plans, or do you have any plans? Because it's probably very hard. You will leave one day after another. You will be hosted by some of our friends.
Yes, we're really grateful, definitely. And for now, for me, the main idea is that anywhere is better where we don't have hopes.
Well, it's the most important is to be safe, right?
Yeah, not
It's
to
the only
hear-
thing which matters.
Yeah, not to hear the sirens, not to be afraid to be killed, or to be sure that your child is safe, that your mom is safe. That's the main idea. So for me, for now, that's the best choice. About my plans, I hope to continue working actually, because I work online, and
Well, if it's online, it shouldn't be a problem as long as you have an internet connection.
yeah, but the company that I work for now, they have this again. They're having this pause, yeah, because they are not sure where all the employees are. Yes, so in order to continue, you need to know. So again, I'm not sure about my work. Everything is so touch and go. It's so shaky, but still, it's better than being there. Definitely. To be deprived of everything like in 1 minute, still not knowing what to do, is better than being there.
Okay, and what are your hopes for Ukraine?
Of course, we've shared already with the people, with my people there in that shelter, and everybody is like, Ukraine has to win. So we won't give up. Our guys, our soldiers, it's something that it's somebody who we really believe in, and all our people, as everywhere it is said, we can't forgive it. How can we forgive this? It's just horrible. You just can't even realize it, the full weight of it, full horrible, the full, I don't know, how horrible everything is. So I will fight till the end, I think, because these things, they can't be forgiven.
So you think the war can only end in a positive way for Ukraine with Ukrainian victory?
That's
So
what we believe.
couldn't it be with a peace, for instance?
But I'm not sure that Russians want peace, because they've had this negotiation, and as far as we can
Yeah, and
see,
they refused. Apparently, they refused to sign
even
agreements.
What really
And even a ceasefire. They even refused the ceasefire.
yeah, there was an arrangement to have this green corridor for people to
Yeah,
and
apparently,
to
yeah.
have some help, but they didn't do this.
Yeah, they kept shooting the same day,
Yeah.
at the same time, in fact.
Yes,
While they were having these negotiations, they kept shooting.
it's like, it's so dirty, it's so mean, and they're like Nazis. I don't know, they're like terrorists.
But
So-
actually, they are the ones who called you Nazis and drug addicts.
that's what the
That's-
told me, and I was so, that still there are some people who, even in France, believe this.
But not only here,
Yeah.
even in Germany, in Poland, there is probably a minority of people who, I mean, I could read some who believe that there is no war at all, and some
Yes,
others who
yes.
think that Ukraine started, and
I understand that you can manipulate people really well if you know the right channels, and people can trust anything. But what they are doing there is I don't know. I saw there a lot of journalists in Kharkiv at the railway station. They were like filming, showing. So that's the reality. That's not something that was made up or anything like this. So, and all the stories that we hear that even some Russian soldiers, they refuse to go because they understand what they're doing.
yeah, I could also read about it. I could even read the story of some Russians who burned their own cars in order not to fight against Ukrainians.
They are resentment.
But is that true, you think?
Maybe not,
Or does it represent
they-
just a minority of people still?
They give up, these Russian guys.
Okay,
They
so
just
some give up.
Yeah.
If only they could all give up, it would be much better for everybody.
But some of them, I think they still believe that they are doing this for some, I don't know, noble reason or what. But it's just rubbish, because I also am amazed how people can do this. If they know that they throw this ball and it will fall actually to some peaceful neighborhood, to just some ordinary people. How people can continue with that if they realize what they are doing. For me, it's I don't understand something.
Well, the point is that Russians were supposed to be Ukrainians' brothers.
Yeah, but the only brothers that we know now is Polish people who definitely help us, and the Europe will send buses here, because when we were in the shelter, we heard the announcements that we can take like 5, 11 people. Please come if you want to go to Spain, to Germany, to Czech Republic, and many others. So we were really pleasantly surprised that we are not alone here, yeah, with this problem. Because actually, it seems like we're alone, you know.
Yeah. It's really the impression we have because no one helps Ukraine to fight.
Yes.
So Ukraine is alone against Russia.
Yes, nobody wants to push it further, you know, because who knows what might
Yeah,
happen
because they
next.
are probably afraid to be attacked by Russians too.
Yes, and the nuclear weapon as well. Yes. So,
Well, he used this threat apparently last Sunday. He said, "Well, if you interfere, I might use something more powerful."
yes, and that's how.
And he meant the nuclear weapon.
Yes, everybody understood what he meant. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the way he declared war? Because he didn't even pretend it was war. He said it was a military operation.
Donbass, yeah. When we will.
No, but even here on February the 24th, he called that a military operation in Ukraine.
Yeah. We also checked definitely the news immediately, and we learned about this operation.
Well, if that's a military operation, I prefer not to know what he calls a war.
Yeah, and he denies.
He didn't know, he just denies it, of course.
And we have some relatives in Russia too, and they don't believe it. My father, he spoke to his relatives. And
When you mean they don't believe it, don't they believe that Russia attacked Ukraine?
yeah, they have like, they feel sorry maybe for both now, yes, but they don't realize the full, how it really happened.
And the consequences, maybe.
Yes, and how it is happening now, that still people are dying even now, and nobody is actually preventing anything. Nobody's closing the sky, you know, like, no, nothing. Weapon is definitely cool, it's definitely, but
And
to stop it, we need something.
yeah, and which is horrible is that it will tear apart the relations between Ukrainians and Russians for probably a very long time. And there were lots of Russians who lived in Ukraine and with
yeah.
whom there was absolutely no problem. That's what's going on with them. I mean, it's probably even pretty hard for them.
I think that, you know, I have some friends who maybe were kind of pro-Russian, but now their opinion has really changed.
No, but I'm even talking about real Russians who lived in Ukraine.
Yeah, sure.
So it means that the Russian army will shoot at them because they won't be able to understand that they are Russians and not Ukrainians. They won't make any difference.
Yes, you're right. So,
And maybe Ukrainians will be mad at them because they are Russians, citizens who live in Ukraine. I mean, these are still 10 or 20% of people in the eastern oblasts, in the eastern regions. That's a lot.
yeah, I understand, but still, it's not about like where you come from. It's about what you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you may be a Russian person, but if you understand what's happening and if you express your position, that's like great. But if you can be even Ukrainian and think something like we are Nazis. So it's not about where you are; it's about what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we really hope for the best, and we hope that nobody will stop helping us because really it's difficult.
We won't stop helping Ukraine.
Yes.
Slava Ukraini,
Heroyam
Heroyam
slava.
Slava. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome back. It's time to come to a conclusion. Everything went on a very smooth way yesterday for the travel. We departed at 8 in the morning and reached Alsace at 2 in the morning, so it's exactly what I expected. An 18-hour drive. This was pretty long. We were exhausted, but finally we made it. So that's just excellent. Elena, her mom, and her son were hosted by one of my wife's friends, 300 meters from here. We hosted my mother-in-law. So briefly, just to explain a bit better the situation. First of all, thank you very much to the ladies who accepted to be filmed, because I felt pretty uncomfortable filming the moment when I delivered the content of the car, and I also felt pretty uncomfortable filming these ladies who had to leave everything and who went to refugee camps. So that's the first point. So it's They were very courageous and very brave, even to accept to be filmed. What else should be said? Of course, Yelena's son, Jan, was very tired, but he also felt shy and he didn't really wish to be on this footage, on these videos, which is completely understandable. Don't forget that he was probably told during his entire childhood not to talk to strangers. And to him, I was a stranger plus a foreigner. So both at the same time, I can understand why it was pretty hard for him to accept to be filmed. Now, in order to come to a conclusion, I wanted to share you the story of my mother-in-law, what she told me while we went to the hotel. We had quite enough time to talk together, and she explained me that she hadn't had the opportunity to sleep for almost 10 days. What happened to her was really horrible because my father-in-law unfortunately died. He had a stroke after having heard the bombarding, the shootings. We don't understand exactly what happened. I mean, I wasn't there, but according to what I understood, he fainted and he just breathed 3 times, and then he passed away. It was over. This was a living nightmare. We tried to bring them out of Ukraine 2 days before the war started. I mean, maybe we could even understand that something was on the verge of happening, but they didn't want to flee because he was already pretty sick. I mean, had a terrible health condition. He almost couldn't move any longer, and he said, "Listen, leave me here." But she didn't want to leave him. She stayed with him, and unfortunately, so the war started on Thursday, the 24th, and it's on Tuesday that he passed away. So a couple of days later, and what she had to go through was horrible because first of all, they couldn't stay next to the windows. They have to remain in the hall of their apartment to make sure that there is no shot which can go through the window and kill them. So this was one point. They couldn't really sleep because I had to stay close to the floor, but it was so pretty uncomfortable that and they were so afraid of what might happen that they didn't manage to fall asleep. And after my father-in-law died, my mother-in-law actually had to stay 2 days with a corpse in her apartment. Can you imagine? She had almost nothing left. I mean, what we shouldn't forget is that there are also many people who don't directly die from the shootings, but who die because they are deprived of food. They can't go to the shops. And there are also people who die because maybe they have a stroke or a heart attack. They could be saved, rescued, but the rescue teams, the ambulances, don't dare to come in such circumstances, and those people unfortunately die at home while they could be saved. And this is also horrible, and I also consider them as victims of this war. So after this happened, she went to the basement and she spent the 2 remaining days in the basement with the neighbors, who just brought some mattress, and all of them slept directly on the floor, and they spent their entire days in the basement on the floor. While, can you imagine, it's the beginning of March, it's still very cold in Ukraine. I can assure you now that I came back that it's much warmer here in Alsace than it is in Ukraine. Well, at the Polish border, I can confirm it. There was even some snow yesterday morning at Polish-Ukrainian. Well, the names are sometimes complicated. Anyway, so this is just to tell you what happened to her. And then she desperately took a train to depart from Kharkiv to Lviv. There were lots of people standing and waiting in queues next to the train, and who pushed each other to enter the train. So there are some people who couldn't even enter the train, so they had to wait until they could take the next one. And the train took almost over 1 day, maybe even 2, to go from Kharkiv to Lviv. And then she told me that she really couldn't sleep. And even when she went to this gym, to this refugee camp, everything was fine. She got food, but at her age, it was pretty hard to fall asleep. I mean, for some younger people, why not? They could live in such conditions, but for her, it was very hard. And she told me that before we went to the hotel, not yesterday, but the day before, she hadn't slept for almost 10 days. So it's as simple as that. So I really wanted to share you this story before ending up this video, this footage. So I hope that this was interesting and that you're better aware of what's going on in Ukraine now. Unfortunately, no one intervenes or dares to intervene to help Ukraine, but the only way we can do it now is from the outside is to help by bringing food. It's through humanitarian help. And here I want to say once again, thanks to Poland, who did a lot to host Ukraine and to host Ukrainians, sorry, and to help Ukraine, and even to Germany, because most of the cars I could see who came were from Germany. So this is very nice to see that there are still people who help each other, and I hope this will be a message of hope. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Ścielem Ukraina.